When a nation has been reduced to forming folk dancing troupes in order to maintain old customs, it means that the folklore of bygone days is menaced by extinction. When that nation goes to the extent of opening schools to safeguard traditional dances and timeless music, the source of this art form is running dry. The Tibetans who have taken refuge in India know this well. What happened? Since the predictable defeat of the Tibetan people's revolt against Chinese administration, and facing the particularly anti-religious measures that followed, some 70,000 Tibetans from different provinces took refuge in Indian territory. None were turned away by the Indian government, which helped them with a sense of urgency, ensuring that they had at least enough to live on. Very often, parents have accepted particularly hard jobs, such as building roads at high altitudes. They are obliged to leave their small children with organizations that can take them into care, like this nursery in Dharamsala, where they are looked after and educated under the supervision of the Dalai Lama's sister. But these children are not just refugees like other involuntary immigrants and people in exile almost anywhere in the world, who try to smile again despite their parents being dead, their village destroyed, and their freedom lost. These children are also the frail heirs to the Tibetan tradition and to the extraordinary Buddhist wisdom which achieved the celebrity of their country, all the more mysterious since almost unknown. The world is roused when the architectural relics of a civilization that died out thousands of years ago are in danger of becoming lost. And all the newspapers talk about the efforts and the enormous sums of money that have been given to protect the Egyptian temples on the Upper Nile. It seems that we are less concerned by the destruction of a culture before our very eyes. Will something survive of the Tibetan tradition and of this extraordinary Tantric Buddhism? For neither the worldwide celebrity of the Tibetan Lamas as regards yoga, occultism and magic powers, nor the commercial success of a few sensational books enable these refugees with no resources to support the true spiritual masters who are now settled on the Indian slopes of the Himalayas and in Sikkim, and to rekindle the fire which has dimmed on the high plateaus where it had been burning so brightly for so long. Up until 1959, the few films and photos which were made mostly in Sikkim or in Darjeeling in India revealed an astonishing world to us. Superficial reports gave the feeling that Tibetans were worshipping a pantheon of divinities with grimacing faces, in whose honor macabre rituals were celebrated that were generally considered as the degeneration of Buddhism. It was difficult for Europeans, for Christian missionaries in particular, to discover the wisdom behind the symbols in these apparently grotesque displays. What is this Lamaism then, since such is the name given by Westerners to the Tibetan religion? Before Buddhism, and then parallel to Buddhism, other types of worship such as witchcraft and shamanism have always existed in Tibet. The principal and oldest of these religions is the Bon, or Bonpo. It was to the Bon religion's disadvantage that Buddhism became established in Tibet, where it was declared the state religion. Tibetan Buddhism is one thing, Bon is another, and above all witchcraft yet another. It is important not to confuse them. Like Buddhist Tibetans, some sorcerers and shamans have also fled their country over the last years to find safety in Bhutan or Sikkim. Near Gangtok, a wealthy Sikkimese called in an occultist healer to take care of his ailing wife. He went into a trance and revealed to the wealthy man that it would be necessary to sacrifice a goat in exchange for his wife's life. The headdress and the instruments used by these sorcerers look like those used by some of the Buddhists who belong to the Red Hat order. Observers in too much of a hurry have easily been mistaken, and naturally the Tibetan Buddhists don't appreciate this kind of confusion. In Sikkim also, this elderly Tibetan woman is an oracle. At times, not always, she too goes into a trance, and while she is thus taken over, she can predict the near future of those who come to consult her. This young girl here finds out from her today what she can expect in the coming months, and receives advice concerning the attitude she should thereby adopt. Furthermore, the official Buddhist church also acknowledges oracles, whether men or women. But their recognition and the demand for their services undergo extremely strict control and regulation.